There is a phone number I stopped paying for last year. The carrier held it in quarantine for a while, then dropped it back into the pool, and a few months after that it belonged to somebody else. That person did nothing wrong. They walked into a shop and were handed the next free number on the list, but every account that still had that number sitting in it as the place to send login codes was, from that moment, reachable by a stranger who had never heard of me. I run mobile lines on real carrier SIM cards for a living. Singapore networks, physical cards, dozens of them live at any given time. They get activated, used, cancelled and recycled, and I watch that cycle turn over every month. So when somebody tells me a code by text is good enough, I know exactly what the pipe is made of. It is the flimsiest thing in this entire subject. There are 3 tiers of two-factor authentication in ordinary use. They sit nowhere near each other in strength, and the gap between the second and the third is the only part that actually stops phishing. The first tier, a code sent by text message, start with the fair part. A text code is far better than no second factor at all. It stops the most common way accounts get emptied, which is somebody reusing a password that leaked from an unrelated site 3 years ago. So keep it until you have something better in place. Now the problems, and there are more of them than the phrase SIM swap covers. Recycling is the one I see from the inside. Carriers do not retire numbers. They park them for a holding period and then reissue them. Numbers run out. Demand never does. I have taken over recycled numbers and had somebody else's verification text arrive on my own hardware inside the first week. Banks, delivery apps, a dating service once. Nobody attacked anything there. The previous owner stopped paying and never went back through their accounts. Then there is the handset itself. A code that arrives as a text is readable by anybody holding the phone, and often by anybody standing near it, because the preview shows up on the lock screen by default. In practice, that means a partner, a teenager, or whoever is on shift with the shared work phone. This is the failure nobody puts in a threat model, and it is easily the most common one in ordinary life. And then the porting attack. Moving a number to a new SIM is a customer service process, and it has to be, because real customers really do lose their phones. Anything a helpful human will do for a genuine customer, they will do for a convincing stranger. That is the tier. Weak against the person next to you. Weak against the number changing hands. Weak against somebody who can talk to a call center. The second tier, a code generated by an app. This is the big upgrade, and most people never make it. An authenticator app holds a secret that was shared once when you set the account up, and combines it with the current time to produce 6 digits that change every 30 seconds. The code is calculated on your device. It never crosses the carrier network at all. So everything in the last section evaporates. No number to recycle. Nothing to port. No text landing on a lock screen in a room you are not in. If you only do one thing after this, move your codes off text and into an app. About 4 minutes an account. But it does nothing about phishing. That gap is the entire reason the third tier exists. A 6-digit code is a thing a human can read aloud. That sentence is the whole vulnerability. Picture the actual attack. You get a message saying your account has a problem. You click. The page looks correct because it is a copy of the real one served from a domain 1 character off. You type your password, the page asks for your code. You open the app and type the 6 digits. On the other side, a script is feeding both of those straight into the real site in real time. Your code is valid for another 20 seconds. That is plenty. Or it happens by voice, which works better. Somebody calls, says they are from the fraud team, says they can see a suspicious transaction, and needs to verify it is really you. A code is about to arrive. Please read it back. Everything about that call is built so that reading 6 digits aloud feels like the cooperative thing to do. And the code has no idea who asked for it. So an app moves you from a stranger can receive your code to you can be talked into handing your code over. Real progress, a long way short of the finish line. The third tier, a key that checks the address for you. This is the one that structurally cannot be phished. And the word structurally is doing real work in that sentence. A security key is a small piece of hardware you plug into a USB port or tap against a phone. A passkey is the same cryptography with the secret living inside your phone or password manager. Treat them as one tier. When you register one to a site, the key makes a fresh key pair for that site and remembers which domain it belongs to. The private half never leaves the key. There is no version of it you could speak. Then when you sign in, the site sends a challenge and the key signs it together with the domain that asked. The browser tells the key which domain is on screen, and the key checks it against what it recorded at registration. So put yourself back on the fake page. Same layout, same logo, domain one character off. The key looks at that domain, finds nothing registered against it, and does nothing at all. It does not produce a wrong answer. It produces no answer. There is no failure the user can override by trying harder, and no digits to read to the man on the phone, because at no point did any digits exist. That is the whole difference. The first two tiers ask a tired human to make a judgment about a web page. The third one takes that judgment off the human and hands it to something that reads domains for a living, which is why I get irritated with advice that ranks these as good, better, and best, as though they sat on one line. The first two are the same thing with different delivery. The third is a different category, what a key still does not fix. Be clear about the edges, because the marketing on this is getting loud. If malware is already running on your machine, a key will not save you. The attacker waits for you to sign in legitimately and steals the session. No second factor protects the session that is already open, and the key protects the sign-in. It leaves the recovery flow alone, which is a different door with a different guard, and that is where most people are still wide open, which accounts to put a key on first, not all of them. That is how people give up on day one. Your email account is first, and it is not close. Every other account you own has a reset link that lands there. Somebody who owns your email owns the rest of it by tea time. Your password manager is second for the identical reason. Then whatever holds money and cannot be undone. The bank, if it supports keys, which plenty still do not. The exchange, if you hold crypto, where a transfer out is final. Then your domain registrar, if you own domains. I put that above social accounts because I have watched a registrar account go. The mail for every address on the domain gets redirected quietly while the website looks completely normal. 5 accounts is a realistic afternoon. The rest can sit on an app forever and nobody will die. Buy 2 keys, not 1. This is the part the reviews skip, and it is the difference between security and a very expensive lockout. A hardware key can be lost, left in a hotel room, or simply stop working one morning. If it was the only thing on your email account, you are filing a support ticket with a company that has no phone number and no reason to hurry. So register 2 on every account you protect in the same session while the settings page is already open. One lives on your keyring. The other lives somewhere physical a burglar cannot be bothered with. A drawer at a parent's house counts. They run about $30 to $60 each. So this is a $100 decision at the top end. That is the price of never being locked out of your own email. The recovery codes everybody throws away. When you turn any of this on, the site shows you a list of one-time recovery codes, usually 8 or 10 of them, usually exactly once. People screenshot them into their photos and consider the job done. Those photos then sync to the same account the codes are meant to rescue, which is a circle. Print them. Write them on paper if there is no printer. Put the paper somewhere you would keep a passport. Paper cannot be phished and it never syncs itself anywhere. And if you ever use one, generate a fresh set afterwards. They are one-time codes and that list gets shorter without telling you. The backdoor on almost every account. Here is the part that undoes everything above if you skip it. You can put the best key in the world on your email account, and if the recovery section still lists a phone number you handed over in 2016, there is a path in that never touches your key at all. The reset flow is the flow. Send a code to the number ending in whatever. The account has no way of knowing that number belongs to somebody else now. So open the security settings on your important accounts and read the recovery section like a stranger looking for a way in. Delete any number you no longer pay for. Delete any email address you no longer read. Every stale entry there is a second front door with a worse lock than the front one. When the service only offers text, plenty of banks and government portals still send a code by text and give you no alternative. You cannot fix what is not there, so make that tier as sturdy as it gets. Turn off message previews on the lock screen. Set a port out pin with your carrier, which most of them support and almost nobody enables. And keep your banking number off your public profiles. The thing I got wrong. I bought a backup key and then never registered it. For about 18 months, there was a second key in a drawer that I believed was my safety net. When I finally tested it, it worked on 2 accounts. The other 6 had been set up on evenings when the first key was in front of me and the second was in another building. So the backup was a piece of plastic that made me feel organized. If I had lost the primary in that window, I would have been in exactly the position I had spent money to avoid. And while I was cleaning that up, I found a cancelled number sitting in the recovery field of one of my own accounts. A number I had stopped paying for. I sell mobile lines for a living, and I still left one in there, which tells you how little attention that page gets from anybody. Register the backup in the same sitting. That is the whole lesson, and it took me a year and a half to learn it. More tool tests and step-by-step guides at theprivacywire.com. Subscribe for privacy advice that is actually practical.